into a central area. They're going to try and flick it over the top of the back line, and Amenda is across to hold up Nusa, the slightly Norwegian. And he'll latch onto the loose ball, will the Swiss Rael Amenda. Sevald in midfield, can't keep it. It was Klosterman, in fact, who tried to continue the move for RB Leipzig. It's going to be pulled back though for a foul on the edge of the Frankfurt penalty area. Bastian Dankert, the referee today, a vastly experienced man. Ball forward down the right hand side. The Leipzig defenders having to scurry back towards the edge of the 18-yard box. Martin van der Voort. He's elected to start this early evening. There's Baumgartner to El Shaddai Bitsiabu. No Klosterman. Good time to carry it forward. But, Baku links up with Diomande. Goals. This year. A bit careless. Shaby! Burkhardt is through, and it's beaten away by Martin van der Voort. First chance of the game. And it's opened up for Frankfurt. And Jonathan Burkhardt onto it quickly. Last goal came at the start of the month against Köln. Goalless against Wolfsburg in that 2-1 win. I mentioned that mixed bag of results in their last three. It's been a win, a draw and a loss. Tends to play all 90 minutes. Ten of his goals have come in the Bundesliga, 3 of them in the Champions League for Frankfurt this season. Here's Van der Voort. On the right hand side, here comes Baku. Pulled back to the edge of the box. Baku teed up. It's going to just bobble through to Zetterer. On the left hand side, here is Nathaniel Brown. And into Baku. Shuffled across by Robin Koch with the captain's armband on this evening. Theat, the Belgian, into midfield. There is Brown again. Højlund will take over, but that's sweet past the Austrian Nicolas Sevald. Out on the right hand side for Leipzig again. Jan Diomande drifting in field. Still going Diomande. Edge of the box, tries to open up his left instep to curl that into the top corner. And it's over the crossbar. The threat was there. They've opened up a bit of space a couple of times, stepping in from that right hand side, Leipzig. Just drifted past Brown, a little bit lightweight in the challenge, Nathaniel Brown. Needs to be careful in that central position. Goal kick taken short, back to the goalkeeper. Here's Zetterer. Diomande lurking closest. Diamande will face Germany at the World Cup as a member of the Ivory Coast national team. Larsen with a toe to the ball in midfield. Back with Klostermann, the Leipzig centre-half. He's playing in the middle of that back three. Turned back by Baku. It seems like they've matched Frankfurt here. I think Arthur, I thought, would be in the left-back position, but he's played forward, further forward than we expected. Here he is, trying to apply a little bit of pressure to Kalimundo. He has to poke it backwards towards his goalkeeper. A little flick on the way through off a Leipzig player means that Zatera can pick it up. Larsen dispossessed on the edge of his own penalty area. Diamande, that's off Teat. And now a shot from range came in from Ouedraogo, and that was blocked as well. The teenager unable to get his shot on target, and Frankfurt got away with it. That's why they've conceded so many. You can see there's just a vulnerability about them. Here comes Nusa down the left-hand side, trying to accelerate, lifts one into the penalty area. It's Romulo, gets up well, but it's over the crossbar. And towards the far side of the penalty area, the Brazilian. It's direct football from Antonio Nusa. It's drifted past Amamouni Ishkiyab. It's away by Romulo. Underneath that was Saivald. Now Shadai Ichabu into midfield where Højlund will collect. There is the Dane. Right off to Kalimundo. Teat into the centre circle for Koch. Now Amenda. Koch. Teat. Brown. Back to Koch, just outside the centre circle. Amenda. Down the right-hand side. Inside comes Chaibi, Nigerian. Between the lines is Brown. Finds Kalimundo. Brown again. Will find a ball into the penalty area. Fed in there. Picked away by Saivald. Amenda. Koch. Teat. And again with Kalimundo on the left-hand side. Trying to make space across the face of the penalty area. No foul, says Bastian Dankert. It's Romulo that drives Leipzig forward. He's got space on the right-hand side. Will feed it to Diamande. Tries to get his shot away. He skied another one. Tight angle for Jan Diamande. He had options across the 6-yard line as well. Well, he's made the most of the contact down the other end of the pitch, Arno Kalimundo. But Leipzig certainly haven't made the most of this chance. Teat lost his footing. That opened it up for Diamande. And there's 3 in the 6-yard box waiting for the cutback. Romulo continued his run. So did Christoph Baumgartner. He's off balance as he strikes it. Diamande turns away immediately as he sees that sailing over the bar, because he's got 3 colleagues shouting at him in frustration just to his left. It's off the head of Finkrafer for a Eintracht Frankfurt throw-in. Baumgartner, the Leipzig captain, the last man to toe to the ball. Another throw in for Frankfurt. Inside the Leipzig half of the pitch, out on that right-hand side. Xavi back out to Amenda. This time it's a bit closer to the 18-yard box, and maybe an opportunity to launch it into the penalty area. Looks like it will be Maimouni Eshkouyab. Take it. Amenda kicked into the box. For a moment, Burkhardt lost sight of it. He's just going to hobble away from that challenge with Baku. He's just feeling his ankle there, Jonathan Burkhardt. Just have a little look. Yes, as Baku comes down, he does seem to land on the outside of Burkhardt's ankle. That is a sore one. He looks like he'll be all right to continue, as Arta Tayat's going to take this from the near side. Tayat into Shaibi, I should say. Diamande trying to hold him off near the corner flag. Has to be careful here, Diamande. Shaibi got a toe to it, and now he's got two. And the assistance of Kali Mwendo breaks the ball free. It's gone up for offside. An almighty tussle near the corner flag, and Bastian Danker sees the funny side. It's so clever. It's a good spot from the referee himself. It was Shaibi who got a toe to the ball. Kali Mwendo then took it away at that point, but he'd come to challenge from an offside position, so therefore the touch from Shaibi into Kali Mwendo was indeed offside. Van der Voort down the right-hand side, wrestling was Romulo. It's a gorgeous evening. And in Frankfurt, sun just dipping below the rear of the stands. In Deutsche Bank Park, 7th largest stadium in Germany, 58,000 capacity. It's 59,000 in here this season, back in April, in that game against Cologne. And the shadows being cast on the top of the stands, the golden light just trickling through. It's making for quite an atmospheric opening 17 minutes here. Maimouni Eshkouyab. He's dispossessed there by Fikrafer. It's over the touchline for a Frankfurt throw-in. Amenda again. He was a bit frustrated back in the winter. There's a lack of opportunities here, but he's been playing much more. And now he'll be a bit more comfortable with his position in the Swiss national team ahead of the World Cup. Here's Tayat. Koch in the centre circle, just almost let it get away from him. There's Amenda to keep the ball moving to Shaibi, the Algerian. Oscar Højlund. Misplaced pass, that's out of play. Another throw in for Leipzig. David Raum in the starting 11 for Frankfurt. Minor groin injury giving him a bit of discomfort, but he's amongst the substitutes today. There's Burkhardt. Shabi into the penalty area, got it through the legs of one, but it's swept away by Shadai Bichiabu. Larson to Teat, approaching the edge of the centre circle inside Leipzig territory. Brown. To Teat, back to Zetera. Amenda. Teat again, that's a neat turn, but a bit too close to Bichiabu, who will clear the danger for Leipzig. Teat, big powerful header up towards Burkhardt. Close to man. Wants it wide towards the left-hand side. Bichiabu making sure that Burkhardt won't run onto the end of that loose ball. Van der Voort. Clearance up towards Diamande, who is wrestling with Brown. Swept forward. All the way back to Martin van der Voort. Always thinking of with the challenge to win it back. Frankfurt have made a decent start here. Hoyland. So the Leipzig touch to carry it over the touchline. Jurgen Klopp is in tonight. Teat. Klopp with a role with the Red Bull Sporting Organisation now. Zetera forces the header from Baku. Frankfurt throw it by Nathaniel Brown to Kalimundo. Teat. Shabi. Intelligent run from Hugo Larson. It's Bichiabu who got in the way though. Here's Finkelhofer. Bichiabu with the clearance, and Hoyland will just buzz in there to pick it up again for Frankfurt down the outside. Here's Hugo Larson. A high hanging ball towards Kalimundo at the back post. Gets his header on target. And Van der Voort will hold on to it. Just couldn't generate the pace there, Arno Kalimundo. It's clever play from Hugo Larson, who just drifted off the back of Finkelhofer. Kalimundo was always backpedaling. Go up and over Baku. He's close to man. It's down the right for Baku. Laid off by Diamande. Full return pass though. It was straight to Shabi. Teat is quickly poked backwards by Hugo Larson. Safety first as he finds the terror. Bremen goalkeeper. Teat. Forward by Hoyland. Brown. Shabi, lovely switch of play. It's just going to bounce away though from Maimouni Eskiyab. Substitute keeper tonight for RB Leipzig, Peter Galacci. We've also got Benjamin Hendricks, David Raum, as we mentioned, and Castello Lukeba on the bench. Alongside Andrea Maximovic, Konrad Harder, Johan Bakayoko, Brian Gruder and Tidiak Gomez. We're missing a number through injury. Selemane Sani, Leopold Zingler and Vigo Gabel. Jabba Schlager suspended today. Frankfurt, Jens Kral, the substitute goalkeeper. Elias Brown, the only, you'd say, recognised defender on the bench. Can Uzun on the bench alongside Elias Sikihiri, Mario Götze, Alhoff, Osgar Kanauf, Yunus Ibn Talib. Pulled back by Højlund. He was fed by Brown and they were scrambling for a moment there, Leipzig. Concede the corner kick. Also on the bench, Ritsu Doan, who we understand is expecting a child any minute, so if he suddenly disappears, we'll know why. Corner kick for Frankfurt. Shaby. Brown tries to find Omai Mooney. Skiab on the edge of the penalty area. Noosa it was who intercepted, and well, it was Hugo Larsson with the challenge to make sure he couldn't make any progress. It's Højlund, in fact, with the challenge. And a clever one, really. If there's such a thing as a good foul, it is a good one. It's Leipzig shading the number of shots, 5 so far. Yes, draws the teller into a save. Frankfurt, the hosts, dominating the ball, 63 to 37%. Is Noosa, one of the Leipzig danger men. Shaby was alert to intercept on halfway. And Eskiyag trying to stretch his legs, just a slightly heavy touch at the wrong moment. Bichiabu can poke it away. Here's Baku, popped up in a central midfield role at the moment. Klostermann. Diamande on the right-hand side to Baumgartner. Made off to Klostermann again. Bichiabu looking for Baku. The break of that ball. Glanced away off Højlund. Noosa trying to poke it through. Teat in the way. Here's Jan Diamande. Teat came to close down. Diamande still chops onto his right. Diamande, brilliant goal! A 13th goal of the season for Jan Diamande. Leipzig take the lead, and in some style as well. He left defenders in his wake, chopped back onto his right, slots it into the bottom corner of the far post. Zetterer can't even move. Starts off on that right-hand side, drifts across the face of the penalty area. Decides he wasn't comfortable on his left, chops back onto his right. Curls it past Baumgartner in front of him. Zetterer couldn't see it until it was too late. Jan Diamande gives Leipzig the opener after 27 minutes. Well, he feasted when these two sides met back in December, becoming the second youngest hat-trick scorer in Bundesliga history. And the 19-year-old already has his fingerprints all over this game as well. Here's Noosa, little spring in the Leipzig step here. He's been fouled in the centre circle. Challenge coming in from Oscar Højlund. And according to the statisticians, that goal had a 7% chance of going in, and that really underlines Frankfurt's season. They've conceded 11 more goals than expected. It's the worst XGA, expected goals against gap, in the Bundesliga top half. That'll settle a few Leipzig nerves after those defeats for Leverkusen and Hoffenheim. It's all square between St. Pauli and Köln, one apiece there. This Leverkusen 1, Augsburg 2 at the Bayer Arena. Hoffenheim beat Dortmund, I should say, the win for the defeat for Dortmund. 2-1. Union Berlin lost to 2-1 to Wolfsburg. Here's a shot from a long way out, and it's pushed away by Zetterer. It was Huadraogo with the effort. And Werder Bremen, comprehensive victory, 3-1 over Hamburg. '30th minute. Deutsche Bank Park. Frankfurt with 2 more games here and 2 away. Well, recognised as a mixed bag of difficulty. They're facing the likes of Dortmund. Towards the back post, think good effort. He was looking for Udraogo. Huge swing at the ball. Very little contact for a goal kick, the end result. It's Højlunds. Far corner of his own penalty area, finds Larsen down the right hand side, trying to find Amaimouni Eskuyab. Not quite reach the Moroccan. Got the throw in Frankfurt, right back position. Amenda. Not much more he could do with that, Shabi, than try and lift it down the touchline. Let's have a play for another Leipzig throw-in. Freiburg face Heidenheim tomorrow. Borussia Mönchengladbach round off the weekend of Bundesliga fixtures at home to Mainz, but I'm sure all eyes will be on the Allianz as Bayern Munich hosts Stuttgart. They are 12 points clear of Borussia Dortmund in second place. If the scoreline tonight was to stand, the gap from Leipzig to Dortmund would drop to just 5 points. Maybe open up a runners-up spot for Leipzig. Baku, Diamande, the man of the moment. Followed by Nathaniel Brown, who's done well to win it back. Just bounce. Markov, Udraogo into Brown, and what a play for a Leipzig throw-in. El Shaddai, Bitsiabu. Straight to Amenda on halfway. Brown has lost it. Baku again streaking forward, has to check back and find Seiwald. Baumgartner. Baku continued his run, bounces off Brown. Baku spun on it. He'd found his way forward and tried to make the most of his advanced position. Always swerving away from the near post. couldn't quite get it across there to the... You can see the threat that Leipzig pose. Thanks to Diomande and Baku, who's not afraid of getting forward. It's a neat play in the middle. Shabi down the left-hand side. Here comes Kalimwendo. Edge of the penalty area. Bit of step over. Footwork. Kalimwendo towards the back post there. Winding one up, and there's the equaliser. It was a poor effort initially from Ayube Amaimouni Eskuyab. It skipped off the surface, and it was Hugo Larsson who could just poke his header past Martin van der Voort. Level pegging as we head towards the final 10 minutes of the first half. It's his 10th goal of all time for Eintracht Frankfurt on the occasion of his 109th appearance. He's one of those who often goes unheralded in the heart of midfield. Seen more as a disruptor than a goal scorer. But today that could be so important. From Hugo Larsson. Scored against Hamburg in December. Just his second goal this term. Leipzig with the free kick out on the far side. I think Grefe. The left-footed ball into the penalty area. Header down. They haven't dealt with it particularly well. Frankfurt eventually poke it clear, and now a chance to counter maybe. And it's really sharp in the end from Antonio Nusa. It is stepping in the centre circle just as they're about to slip it out to the right hand side for Amaimouni Eskuyab. Well, his eyes lit up, the young Moroccan. Turned into a good assist. Here's Baumgartner. Will find Baku. Could have gone anywhere off Larsson. He's done well to ensure that's over the crossbar rather than underneath it for another Leipzig corner. Little Baku has played more of a winger than a defender tonight. He wins another corner. I think Grefe will take the corner. Left-footed ball right into the heart of the 6-yard box where it's away by Shabi. Nusa now collects on the left-hand side, tries to get to the byline, left-footed ball back into the mix. He's got his back to goal, Romulo. Diomande trying to pick it off on the edge of the penalty area for Leipzig. It's clipped away on this left-hand side. Hoyland, nice touch. Now Burkhardt shifts it to the right-hand side, and he's clearly in an offside position. Amaimouni Eskuyab. Not much more he could do, Nathaniel Brown. And Baku just stepped up at the right moment. Van der Voort. El Shaddai Bitsiabu. Comes Diomande again on the right hand side, weaving his way into the penalty area, pulled back. Uatraogo Finds Romulo on the edge of the penalty area, holds it up really well, the Brazilian there. Now finds Nusa, corner of the box. Poked it past Amenda, ran into the centre half, goes down. I'm not sure he's even asked for the penalty. And there's nothing there in the opinion of Bastian Dankert. Taking charge of his first Frankfurt game this season, Bastian Dankert. He was the man in the middle for Leipzig's 2-1 win over Hamburg back at the start of March. And Mamoni Eskuyab's gone down on the far side, and it was a pretty hefty challenge from the Austrian Nicolas Seiwald. Third booking of the year. 40 minutes gone. I think Greffer overcommitted. Seiwald with the infringement. There's Amenda on the free kick. Koch. Teat. Brown. Looking for Burkhardt. Led by Baku. This was the forward ball by Klosterman, by Teat. Zetterer is asked to come and get this by Arta Teat. Straight out of play for the RB Leipzig throw-in. Shadai Bitshiabu in the centre circle. Led off by Baumgartner to Klosterman. Now Baku. Baumgartner. Bitshiabu. Space down the left-hand side for Greffer if they can find him. Tried to go through the middle for Nusa. That's broken up by Amenda. He's leading the counter-attack. Finds Højlund, who's evaded the challenge. Amenda has stayed with him. Højlund looks to go all the way through himself. Unleashed with the left foot. An awkward one for Oscar Højlund. And he couldn't get it on target. Got out of the way of the challenge in midfield. Far from a cagey opening half of the match. Been an engrossing one to watch. Here's Jonathan Burkhardt. Teat jumping with one of the goal scorers, Diamande. Seiwald goes in again. This time to poke it away from the other goal scorer, Hugo Larsson. Well, the yellow card that was given a minute or so ago, it was actually given to Max Finkgreffer. Well, Shabi, the flag has stayed down. Shabi is behind Kalimwendo, and now the flag goes up. It was in acres of space, Shabi. Let's have a look. Well, he stepped out at the right moment. El Shaddai Bitshiabu. Shabi went one way. Oh no, Kalimwendo went the other. Now Barriera. With a long old think about that one. Might have been good. I'd say the scoreline is probably a fair one at the moment. Here's Van der Voort. Bitsiabu. Back to Van der Voort. Now Klosterman. On the right hand side for Diamande, fed by Klosterman. Brown across to meet him, as is Højlund. Diamande trying to turn away from the Frankfurt pair. Instead it's back to Klosterman. Now Baumgartner pokes it through the legs of Højlund. Klosterman likes to just bash it away as far as he can into the arms of Zetter. Now Hugo Larsson. Højlund. Teat. Here comes Nathaniel Brown. Cross to Amenda. Koch. Now Larsson again. Inside right. Right hand side is Scheibe. Amenda. Larsson to Højlund. Back to Koch. Amenda. Amaimuni Eskuyab on the byline. Finkerefa has to be careful on the yellow card. Morocco towards the back post. It's just a little bit too high for Burkhardt, who was stretching over Klosterman. He's poked it away from Baku, but he's recovered well to find Diamande, and that's neat footwork, stepping away from Burkhardt, now into the middle for Ouedraogo. Højlund with the challenge, just slows his momentum. Just the 1 minute to be added on at the end of this 45. A ricochet off Kalimundo more than anything else. Seiwald. Baumgartner. Amenda just held his ground as Finkerefa ran into him. And he stayed down, the 22-year-old. Some tempers flaring up in the middle of the park. Nathaniel Brown not happy about something. Bastian Dankert has to just separate a couple of players here on the cusp of half-time. He's upset with Christoph Baumgartner. Robin Koch is across to have a word with the referee. I haven't really seen what happened with Finkerefa. There's nothing. There's nothing there. Ariel Amenda just stepped in the way of Finkerefa. Let's have a little look at the watch. Bastian Dankert. It's going to be Arthur Teat to take the free kick. And that's it. As Bastian Dankert blows the whistle for half-time. RB Leipzig came into this game looking to consolidate their position in the top four of the Bundesliga. One of the goals of the season from Jan Diamande gave them the start they were looking for, but it was cancelled out not long later by Hugo Larsson, who headed home the leveller. Frankfurt looking to keep pace, Leipzig looking to establish a gap. At the break, they are all square as they head in down the tunnel at the Deutsche Bank Park. It's Eintracht Frankfurt 1, RB Leipzig 1. Well, welcome back to Frankfurt, where it's finally poised at the break. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, RB Leipzig 1. It's been a half that swung one way and then the other. Frankfurt showed their hand first. Jonathan Burkhardt with an early sight of goal that hinted at a fast start from the host as they get back underway in the second half here. But it was Leipzig that responded, and for a spell they really took control of the rhythm. They were sharper in possession, more purpose through the middle, and that pressure toll with a moment of real quality. Jan Diamande picked it up, drove forward and produced a stunning solo effort to break the deadlock. That could have tilted the game decisively, but Frankfurt didn't allow it to drift. They regrouped, got themselves back on the front foot and found the route back in. Hugo Larsson arrived in the right place at the right time to guide in a close-range header into the back of the net to level things up before the interval. So at 1-1, it feels like we reset. Leipzig have shown they can control spells and hurt Frankfurt with pace and directness, while the hosts have already demonstrated resilience and a threat of their own when they get bodies in the box. No substitutes at the break, not at this particular juncture yet. Options on the bench for both sides as here are Leipzig getting forward. Baumgartner finds Diamande, right corner of the penalty area, tries to clip it into the penalty box. Baumgartner forces a save from Zetterer, and then a shout for a penalty. Romulo went down. It was a little bit untidy. I think it was Arta Theater. It's actually Koch. He's done really well, Baumgartner, to improvise the effort. It's poked straight at Zetterer, who pushed it away. So the same 11s that we saw start the game for Frankfurt. That's Michael Zetterer in goal, Arta Theat, Robin Koch and Ariel Amenda, the back three. Ayoub, Amamouni, Eshkiyab, Nathaniel Brown, Larson and Shaibi across the middle. Hoyland in there as well. Cali Wendo is offering support to Burkhardt. Ole Werner's team, RB Leipzig, Martin van der Voort in goal. A back four of Ridley Baku, Lucas Klosterman, El Shaddai, Bichiabu and Max Finkrafer. Christoph Baumgartner, who's just involved there as we heard. Here he is again on the edge of the penalty area trying to find Romulo. He's alongside Save-Out, Asano Drago, Nusa Diamande and the Brazilian Romulo. Here's the 19-year-old Jan Diamande. Being kept quiet by Nathaniel Brown, but at the expense of a corner. Leipzig now playing towards their own supporters. Towards our left from our commentary position. They've been really good defending these corners, Frankfurt. Finkrafer, left back, wandering across to take it. The summer signing from Köln back in July. Marked appearance for RB Leipzig. Deputy to David Raum. Finkrafer, Baumgartner didn't really make a clean contact, and his attempt to try and win that header has left Arta Theat on the ground. He's going to be helped up by the Austrian. Just goes to attack it, Christoph Baumgartner. Theat in the way in the end. Good early pressure from RB Leipzig. Baumgartner again, he's been quiet. He's already worked Zetterer within 2 minutes of the restart. That's pumped clear. And here comes Jonathan Burkhardt. A little bit isolated out on that left flank, but trying to make the most of the possession. Pulled it back to the edge of the box. Shaibi just caught on his heels a little. And Saival plugs the gap for RB Leipzig. It's had a play on the far side for another Frankfurt throw-in. Theat. Christoph Baumgartner, the mainstay of the Austrian national side. They'll be back at the World Cup for the first time since 1998. Here goes Højlund all the way through. Højlund draws a really good save. And a Van der Vaart in the follow-up is over the crossbar by Aimouni Eskuyab. Would have been a sensational goal from Oscar Højlund, who weaved his way through the RB Leipzig midfield and then the defence. It dropped kindly to Aimouni Eskuyab, who hits it into the ground and over the crossbar. If he had his head up, he might have set one up for Burkhardt. Here comes Diomande in the opposite direction, down that right-hand side. Teat trying to back away. Diomande squeezes it inside to Nusa for Leipzig. Baku, Nusa goes down under a bit of pressure from Amenda. Now carried forward by Arno Kalimwendo. Here's Burkhardt from the left-hand side. It's behind Kalimwendo, and there is Baumgartner to tidy things up for Leipzig. Away it goes by Finkgräfer. Now Nusa. Here is Ouedraogo on the left-hand side into the penalty area. Ouedraogo tries to cut back. Koch is in the way. Well, it goes behind for another corner kick. Chances at both ends in the opening few minutes of this second half. And that's the kind of game we've had on our hands from the word go. Finkgräfer is going to take the corner kick again. Left footed, there's the header. Came in from close to man. It's held on to by Zetterer. Here's Højlund. Hugo Larsson. Now Amenda, right-hand side of the defence. Over halfway for Shabi. A lovely early ball attempted towards Burkhardt. That's an important touch on it by El Shaddai Vichiabu. 20-year-old defender, joined from Paris Saint-Germain 3 years ago now. Back-to-back appearances for Frankfurt after sitting out against Werder Bremen, Hoffenheim and Stuttgart. There's the ball chipped across from Nusa. Find Romulo. It's always a tough ball to play. Zetterer away. Clash of heads in the middle between two Frankfurt men. Shabi and Koch. It's a painful one for both of them, as they both challenged for that over the top of Antonio Nusa. I think Shabi's going to be all right, but it looks like Robin Koch is still down. The 28th appearance of the season for Robin Koch. Started today. Scored at the end of January versus Leverkusen. Was sent off against Heidenheim a few weeks ago, back in March. He tends to be an ever-present for the team. When he plays, he starts. Elias Baum is on the bench for Frankfurt. I'll try and change things up. Koch still a little bit shaken up here. Missing Namdi Collins, who's been out with injury since picking up that ankle problem in the game against Mainz back in mid-March. A few warming up, Frankfurt. I do hope that Koch will be able to continue. He's back on his feet. Just feeling that tempo. The play will be restarted with a drop ball. To Christoph Baumgartner as they get played back underway. Diamande flicks it down the outside. Here comes Olivier Baku towards the penalty spot. Baumgartner goes down. It was a challenge from Hugo Larsson. Real appeals from Leipzig players for a penalty. Here's Diamande, corner penalty area. Here's Romulo. Baku to the back post. There's the header. And Seival can't direct it either side of Zetterer. Seival has never scored for Leipzig. It's a tough one. For a standing start, can't really generate the power. Loose touch from Højlund. Back in by Baku. Here's Diamande. Looking for Ouedraogo. Teat was a defender and the referee points to the 6-yard line. Ouedraogo still down. Is it a penalty? I'm not sure it is. There's not enough contact there. A little bit of a tangle of his own legs from Assad Ouedraogo. Bastian Dankert will wave on the Leipzig medical team. They're preparing a change here, Leipzig, I think. That's had a difficult time with injuries. Olga missed 12 games from mid-January right the way through to the end of last month. He's back on his feet, just testing out that. There's his left ankle. That's the end of his game as well. Assad Ouedraogo, well, he was prepared to continue. And it's going to be Brian Gruder, who's on loan from Brighton and Hove Albion for his 9th Leipzig appearance. Comes on wearing the number 10. Man, Chaby. It's against Baumgartner, who has to adjust and get in the way of Chaby's attempted recovery. Baumgartner here near the corner flag. Amaimouni Eshguyab. And he felt he kept it in and fairly. René Roda, the assistant referee, disagreed. I'm not so sure, you know. He was right over the top of the ball, the assistant referee, but it seemed like Chaby managed to keep it in play. Finkerefer takes the throw in. Romulo tries to release Diomande. Here's Brown on the edge of his own penalty area. Diomande. Gruda! Almost an instant impact. Oscar Højlund sliding in front of him, gets his body in the way and makes sure it's over the crossbar. Suspicion of offside initially. Let's have a little look. No, it's well played by Diomande. Beat the offside trap. Gruda has to take a touch, and in doing so, just about allows Oscar Højlund enough time to get back, and that's a really good piece of defending. It might have been his first touch, Gruda. Now Berriera, the Frankfurt manager, points down the touchline to his right, where that ball was kept in play, in his opinion at least, by Fares Shabi. Maxim Greffer will again deliver this corner kick from the far side. Greffer into the 6-yard box, header away by Koch. Here's Nusa, picks it up on the edge of the box, shifts it onto his right, lofted back in there, straight into the gloves of Zetterer, who will look to try and release Frankfurt early. It's a long ball tossed out towards this right-hand side. Baku getting back. Who concedes the throw-in with Ayub Maimouni Eskuyab bearing down on him. In by Amenda, Larsen. Koch. Teat. Let's float it out to the left-hand side. Now Arno Kalimwendo bursts its way past the defender. Kalimwendo just ricocheted back off Sevald and close to Mantu. Got something on it. Romulo towards Diomande. Touches it away from Koch. Keeps it in play too. Here's Romulo. Back to Diomande. Gruda. Baumgartner. Finkgräfer. That's off Maimouni Eskuyab. Let's see, with another throw in. Still all square at Deutsche Bank Park. Sold out Deutsche Bank Park, almost 60,000 in tonight. Gruda with a little snapshot from the edge of the box. Well saved by Zetterer down low to his right. And smuggled clear by Larsen. Baku. Backwards to Van der Voort. Here's El Shaddai Bitsiabu. Close to man. Now Diomande. Down the outside. Past Kalimwendo in towards Romulo. And Koch does just about enough. He's hurt himself there, Romulo, trying to fling himself on it. Can't divert it in on target. He's so difficult to defend against Jan Diomande. Can go either side. Squared up Kalimwendo. A burst of speed. He got a toe to it, did Romulo. He's put a lot of effort in today, Oscar Højlund. And he's going to be replaced by Can Uzun, the 20-year-old. Began the season like a house on fire with 5 goals in his first 5 games. Have to go back to the 9th of January, the last time he got on the score sheet. Fallen out of favour a little recently. Left out against Heidenheim, stayed on the bench against Köln. There was a late substitute against Wolfsburg and Mainz. Shaby's going to take the second Frankfurt corner of the game. Taken short by Shaby to find Brown. And by Mooney, yes! Escoyab looking for the top corner, and Van der Voort flung himself at it to deny him. Just pushes it away. Comfortable in the end for the Belgian. Shaby this time towards the back post. There's Amenda. Drops to Calibuendo, driven against Klosterman. And now Diamande will try and drive it away. Oh, that's a good challenge. And, Nathaniel Brown just outside the penalty area. .25 minutes remaining. Still nothing to separate the two sides. Diamande looking for Garuda. Just tied it up by Brown. So what kind of game for Nathaniel Brown? Koch. Here by my Mooney. Escoyab. Can't quite find Chanuzun. He's got it back again though, the young Moroccan. Not for very long. Here's Baumgartner for Leipzig on the left-hand side of the centre circle. Now Seiwald. Klosterman. Baku. Bichiabu. Spotted Baku's run through the middle. Can't feed it to him though. There's Tiata in the way. Calimendo's gone down and stayed down. Just an awkward return to earth as he stretched over Jan Diamande. And by Baku. Baumgartner. It's just broken down on that far side. Frankfurt with the throw in. Brown. Teat to Zetero. It's touched by Burkhardt under pressure from Klosterman. Forward by Larsen. Calimundo stepping in off the left flank. Looks for the switch of play to Amaimouni. Escoyab, can he keep it in play? Well, they've been able to do so. The assistant referee says that stayed on, but Leipzig pick it up. Now Seiwald for Leipzig, just on the edge of the centre circle. Here's the danger man Diamande. Low into the penalty area, Baumgartner just couldn't sort his feet out, and Zetterer came to meet him. It all happened very quickly. Brian Kruder it was, who found himself in a brilliant position. If he takes it first time, Leipzig lead. Winklefer. Klosterman. Baku. Back to Van der Voort. Bichiabu finds Baumgartner, uses the outside of his boot, feeds it into the penalty area. That's been laid up by Romulo. Kruder links up with Diamande. Kruder, far side of the penalty area. Shaby in the way for Eintracht Frankfurt. Close to him near halfway. Back to the edge of the centre circle for Bichiabu. Now Finkrefer. Nusa sets off on a run. Nusa, edge of the box, bursts through the gloves of Michael Zetterer. RB Leipzig lead, and it's another brilliant goal. Just his 4th of the season for Antonio Nusa. And that could be a huge step towards Champions League qualification. Stepped in off the left-hand side. There was a little bit of space on the edge of the box. Zetterer, I think, will probably feel he should have done better here. Antonio Nusa from that inside left channel, yeah. Zetterer needs to be careful, needs to do better with this, I should say. It's just popped off his top hand and into the back of the net. And while the strike from range was a decent one from Nusa, it's one that Michael Zetterer really should save. And for all their good work, Frankfurt concedes a goal they really should not have conceded, and they're going to respond with a couple of changes. As off goes Ayub Amaimouni Eskuyab to be replaced by Ansgar Knauf, and Hugo Larsson will make way for Elias Sikihiri. Two players on for Eintracht Frankfurt. They are attacking changes. Knauf will offer some thrust from wide positions, and Skiri more of a calming role in midfield. His last goal came almost a year ago. It came against Freiburg back at the end of last season. Well, it's the two wingers that have proved the difference for RB Leipzig. Diamande on one side, Antonio Nusa on the other. There's 2 goals in 3 games for the Norwegian Nusa. Been prolific this year. Here's Baumgartner. A couple of nibbles at him by Skiri. And I hand in apology for the Austrian. The little pocket of Leipzig fans behind Zetterer's goal are enjoying themselves. In towards the near post. Seiwald with the header. It's come off Skiri. That's clever from Leipzig. Played it wide. It was a decent ball as well for Hidle Baku. It's great positioning from Skiri, the Tunisian. By Finkgräfer, it's away by Koch. Towards that far side for a Leipzig throw-in. It's all right now after that blow to the head earlier. Albert Riera on his haunches in his 18 in his technical area. Ole Werner. Difficult to read what he's thinking about. His side's performance so far hasn't necessarily been free-flowing attacking football, but it's been effective. And here comes Knauf for Frankfurt down the right-hand side. Ansgar Knauf has the Leipzig defence backpedaling. Amenda back into the box. That's off Bitsiabu. And now Nusa. Into the middle for Baumgartner. Off to Baku. Just turn for home, slipped as he did so, and still will reach Martin van der Voort. Here's Bitshiabu. Into the centre circle is Saiwal. Back to Kloosterman. Van der Voort. Bitshiabu. Van der Voort. Kloosterman. Carrying it up towards halfway to Riedle Baku. Bitshiabu again. Forward by Skiri, and a nice first touch by Knauf. Knauf with the ball back towards the penalty spot. It's away by Kloosterman. He had Burkhardt over his shoulder. Quickly back in by Amenda. Arta Teat. Skiri. Amenda. Shabi. Brown. Kalimwendo. Baku too strong for him. To settle for the throw-in. Oh no, Kalimwendo. Just down the right-hand side, Cal for the layoff. Chan Uzun. Amenda. Can't squeeze it through to Skiri. Just ran into Finkgräfer. I know, here comes Noosa. Sliding in, Nathaniel Brown, and he won the ball, says Bastian Dankert. Knauf. Looks for a switch of play. It will reach Kalimwendo, but he has to just track back to collect it. Kalimwendo. Shot from a long way out from Shabi. Teat. Great turn. Brown. Kalimwendo, edge of the box, might open up for him. It came off Bitshiabu. Now with Knauf on the right hand side towards the back post. Burkhardt was waiting. It was flicked away by Kloosterman. Gruder against Shabi. 12 minutes of the 90 remaining. Changes now. Two of them. Romulo will go off. As will Finkgräfer. David Raum back in his position. He thinks of his own. Started the last two prior to this, so a bit of a discomfort in the ankle. Prevented him from starting today, David Raum, but he's on now. And Romulo replaced the 21-year-old Dane, Konrad Harder. Picked up a little knock against Mönchengladbach back on the 11th, and that's 1-0 defeat. That 1-0 win, I should say. Last goal at the end of January against Mainz. Just two so far this season. Made the transfer from Sporting at the start of September. Noosa, harder, pass Zetterer, squeezes it into the near post. It's his first touch, Konrad Harder. He's done exactly what he did when the sides met in December. Scores against Eintracht, and Leipzig now with real daylight. It's good initially from Baumgartner. Noosa does really well just to wait for the movement from Harder, who drifts in behind Koch. Teyat not close enough to him. Slips it through the legs of Michael Zetterer. And it's another one you suspect the goalkeeper might feel a little bit disappointed in himself with. Konrad Harder, set up by Noosa. Surely that's all 3 points now sealed for Leipzig. There's been a change in the aftermath as Arthur Teyat goes off. On comes Elias Baum. It took him just 1 minute and 13 seconds to make an impact. Konrad Harder. Well, the North Zealand product often has to settle for little bit part cameos. He's only started 7 games so far this season. There's Kalimuendo, left-hand side of the Leipzig penalty area. Strong challenge from Lukas Klostermann. See Christoph Baumgartner with a challenge over there, pitching in defensively. Van der Voort on his toes. Shaby to take. And towards the near post. It's dealt with by David Raum. Zetterer with the long ball forward. Looking for Burkhardt. Uzun. Kalimuendo in the penalty area. Toe to it by Klostermann, still with Kalimuendo though. Now Ansgar Knauf on the right hand side of the box. Knauf across the face of goal. Oh, so close to just reducing the deficit there. Jonathan Burkhardt threw himself at it. He's hurt himself with the process. A cross-come shot from Ansgar Knauf, and Burkhardt is all of 6 inches away from making contact as he goes sliding in. He's made contact, in fact, little flick off the studs. Only a goal kick though. Just landed on his shoulder, Jonathan Burkhardt, and it's giving him a little bit of discomfort at the moment. On from Van der Voort. Uzun. Skiri finds Kalimuendo. That's a heavy touch. It's away by Bichiabu. Bounces into Zetterer's gloves. Ansgar Knauf has gone down on the near side. There's a apology and a rub of the back by David Raum. I think accidentally stood on Knauf as he went down in front of him. Did step on him. There was no malice intended from the Leipzig skipper. His leg just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and on a pat on the back of the head from David Raum for Ansgar Knauf. Well, the inquest has started on the bench. Arta Tiat. And a word with those amongst him. Amenda. Uzun. Heavy touch from Burkhardt. In fact, it's a nice little layoff to Knauf. Uzun. Seivald in the way. Baum. Down the left-hand side for Frankfurt. Shabi. Uzun, edge of the box. Just took too long. Shabi won't. That one's against Seivald. Out to Knauf on the right-hand side. Skiri. Spins away from Harder. Koch clipped into the penalty area. And there was Shabi, just ghosted in behind Klosterman. But the header is wide. Just ran between Baku and Klosterman. It's a brilliant ball. He's tried to just help it on the way it's going instead of nodding it back across the face of goal, where there was a decent run from Jonathan Burkhardt to try and feed. Tough one for Shabi. It's not really his main skill. Thrown on the near side for Amenda. Into Uzun. Back to Zetterer. Koch. Aurel Amenda. 3 minutes of normal time remaining. Uzun. That's kept in play. Throw in for Leipzig, heading for their first ever win here at the Deutsche Bank Arena, which is quite some statistic, not just in the Bundesliga but across all competitions. Raum looking for Nusa. Amenda with the header. Knauf linking up with Skiri. Uzun. This wasn't there for Nathaniel Brown. There are teams with body down in the 18, the centre circle. Here's David Raum on the left-hand side. Held up by Knauf. Nusa. Baumgartner. Backwards to El Shaddai Bichiabu. Van der Voort. Baumgartner. Raum. Knauf, just a little clip of the heels. And the free kick goes Leipzig's way. And it was Nusa's goal that opened up the daylight. And Konrad Harder made it a 2-goal cushion and effectively sealed the win for Leipzig. Just 1 minute and 12 seconds after coming on. Well, the gap to Leverkusen, currently sitting in the Conference League spot in 6th position in the Bundesliga, is 10 points. And 10 points ahead of Eintracht at the moment, Leverkusen. Freiburg 2 behind them. They'll travel to Augsburg next weekend. Then Hamburg are back here on the 2nd of May. Difficult task against Dortmund away on the 8th. And then finishing the season at home to Stuttgart, Frankfurt. If it is to stay like this, and you suspect it will, as we move into 4 minutes of added time, They will have 12 points to play for, with a 10-point gap to try and overcome. It turned into a virtual 13-point gap when you factor in the fact that Leverkusen have a considerably better goal difference than Frankfurt. I won't go into the technicalities of how more German teams could qualify for European positions and competitions this season. Leipzig are going to move 3 points clear of Stuttgart, albeit with Stuttgart taking on Bayern Munich tomorrow. What looks to be a coronation for Munich. Here's Ram on the left-hand side, across the face of goal, and Harder almost with a second. And it's thwarted by Koch and held onto by Zetterer. Here comes Kalimwendo. Sandwiched between two Leipzig defenders. He was just knocked off balance by Diamande, and that carried him into Klostermann, who's been hurt in this collision. It was a good challenge by Diamande, and Kalimwendo knocked off balance his momentum. Saw him tumble into that left leg of Lukas Klostermann. The Leipzig medical team out again to try and patch up Lukas Klostermann. It's almost official now. Just a matter of time until Bastian Danker blows the whistle. We're going to make a couple of changes here late on. RB Leipzig. Antonio Nusa to go off. Johan Bakayoko. The Belgian. He'll turn 23 on Monday. Joined from PSV, Netherlands, last summer. On for the last couple of minutes. Antonio Nusa, who scored one and set one up. And it is Lukas Klostermann who will go off. And Benjamin Henrichs. Come on to see out the last couple of moments. Often a late sub against Hoffenheim. Henrichs. It's Knauf. Now, Burkhardt caught there by Konrad Harder. Free kick taken quickly already by Knauf. Amenda. He was never going to win that. And Bichiabu could just get his body in the way as that's over the byline, and that could be that. Will be a goal kick for Martin van der Voort. And Albert Riera with his hand on his hip, watching on as he's about to experience his first loss here at the Deutsche Bank Park as Eintracht Frankfurt head coach. Probably recognises that his hopes of qualifying for European competition are starting to dissipate. You never know, 4 games remaining in the Bundesliga season after this. We'll go a little bit further than 4 minutes. Moved forward by Baku. Seivald. Kalimwendo, found by Skiri. Here's Diamande. He's behind Harder. Skiri, Diamande wins it again. Gruda looking for Bakayoko. Now here's Uzun. Kalimwendo. Shabi. Uzun just outside the penalty area. And Burkhardt, he was well placed. He just couldn't get it under his spell. Would have been a chance to at least reduce the deficit late on. But his control evaded him. And Van der Voort will toss it out towards the right-hand side to Ridley Baku. Slip in the middle by Henriks. That's laid off by Burkhardt. Amenda, Knauf, edge of the box. And that's the last of the action as Ansgar Knauf ends up on his rear end. Leipzig's players celebrate. Frankfurt's players hang their heads. They stuck in there, Eintracht Frankfurt, for a huge portion of the game, but just quality came to the fore for RB Leipzig. The kind of quality shown by Jan Diamande in that first half with what could be a goal of the season for them. Antonio Nusa capitalised on a mistake from Zetterer to make it 2-1 for RB Leipzig, and it wasn't long after that Konrad Harder, 1 minute and 12 seconds after coming off the bench, sealed the win for RB Leipzig. Eintracht Frankfurt huffed and puffed, but they couldn't find a route back into the game. They're now 10 points behind Bayer Leverkusen, the chase for that 6th position. RB Leipzig consolidate their place in the top 3 of the Bundesliga. It's getting tight, it's getting tense. We're getting close to the end of the season, and what a season it could end up being for RB Leipzig. Full time at the Deutsche Bank Park. It's finished. Eintracht Frankfurt 1, RB Leipzig 3.